Okay, we are live. Hi, PK. Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. We want to welcome PK, a friend of mine who I've known for a very, very long time. PK has been my friend for maybe about 15 years, 10, 15 years?
More than that.
More than that. Okay, it is a very funny how we came to meet. In actual fact, I was just shopping in One Utama. I went to this shop that sells candles and incense, and I'm not sure. And I don't know what's the name. What do you remember the name?
Yeah, lady, what's her name? Red
No,
Ambler.
the name of the shop.
It's a
And
red
then
ambler. Yeah.
the red elephant. Yes, yes.
No,
So I
red
started
envelope.
red what?
Red envelope.
Oh yes, yes, the red envelope, yes. And then I started talking to her, and then at that point of time, I was thinking of renovating my house, and I asked her if she knew any architect, and she gave me your name. And then you renovated my house in SS2.
Yeah.
Okay, so PK is an architect by profession. PK was trained in the US, and you worked in New York and Singapore for a while, right?
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then PK designed my house in SS2. So when I decided to renovate my house last year, I engaged PK to renovate my house. It started in December, then COVID came about in March, and now because of the uncertainty, I have kind of abandoned my renovation for the moment. Uh, and then, funnily, PK, because he had no work in March, tell us what you did in March, PK, when the first MCO was announced.
It's very strange, Betty, because I think I stretch a bit. Even though the first day the government announced MCO, I go against the regulation. I still went back to your house trying to finish up some last minute work because if
Okay.
I do that, it's going to be at least more than a month or two. If I don't do that, especially all those form work needs to be. I remember we need to pour the concrete. The form work were ready. If we don't pour the concrete, all
Mm-hmm.
the footwork and the steel bars and there will get damaged. So I need that last day, and I remember we just have to cast that piece of concrete, and we went ahead and do it, even though it was already beginning of the restriction move.
Yes.
After that, so we wrap up, and the MCO started for me. So the second day of the movement control. So
Okay. So
it's
second
going to
day
be a long stretch.
yeah. So did you foresee that you were not going to be doing much work at all following the MCO?
Yeah.
And what was your first thought?
Betty, to have some free time for yourself to do what you love most of the time, and it's quite an opportunity. I will have to say, you really have to take this opportunity. And I thought to myself, let's see where this one go, and I'll just do some painting, which I don't have the luxury of time at all in the past. Always get interrupted by works and all sort of things. So this time around, where you really can't travel, you can't work, basically just you and your thought. So I thought maybe if I start doing some artwork, that will ease
Occupy
some
the time.
occupy my time. And I know it's going to stretch more than a month, at least a month. So I went to your house. I rushed to your house and collect quite a lot of formworks that were
What is
used.
that form work? Can you
Formwork
explain?
plywoods that we use to to use like a mold for us to pour concrete on it. And
And
I remember we were doing your concrete staircase, so we have to do all this formwork around your staircase and pour the concrete. And after we pour the concrete, we'll dismantle. And these formworks are to be destroyed and to be discarded. So I thought maybe if I could go and salvage some of this, and let's see if I can do some artwork from it.
So
And
you went to collect materials from my house
yes,
belonging to me, technically, to do your artwork. And when was the last time that you did art? I mean, like painted or anything that is related to art.
but you know, Betty, I always love painting. I remember you bought a piece of
Yeah,
painting
that's
from
right.
maybe more than 10 years ago. And it was a huge painting on paper. And
Yes.
I've been doing painting every now and then. And even when I was working in Singapore, I participated in some art show with friends. And there's one very memorable time and where Singapore Art Museum sort of selected me together with two other Singaporean artists to participate in a group show in Tokyo called Paco Urban Art. And it's among a lot of young progressive artists there. We will spend about a week exhibiting our work there. And then coming back from that, about 2 years later, a friend opened a gallery called Plastic Kinetic Worm, Vincent Liao and his wife then, Yvonne. So this is a very progressive gallery in, I can't remember, was it in Chinatown somewhere? Yes, it's a very progressive one. So I thought, it's pretty good opportunity, and they invited me to do some group show along with some of the artists there. So these are the only exhibition that I can remember. Um, that sort of give me a chance, a window into what I really love to do. And so that was the two windows that I can remember. And so now coming back to this MCO, which I think bringing back all my experience back then, so I thought this was a good chance for me to continue the exploration.
Okay, I'm going to show some slides,
Yeah.
and then I would not be able to see them. And you can see me, right, BK?
I can.
Okay, so this collection, how many pieces were there?
You know, when I started off, it was almost like one painting a day, and not knowing where this is going to take me. So
Okay.
it will be just hanging on my wall across from me where I have breakfast on it every day. This wall is about 3.5 feet wide, and I would hang this painting up. So this is a bit like almost like a conversation between painting and me. Hence, uh, the show is called the title of the collection is called Blue. So this is on a daily basis. This is conversation, and it goes on almost like one painting a day in the beginning, but occasionally throughout the whole stretch of 3.5 months, I have accumulated about 46, 47 pieces of artwork.
And is this your first painting?
Sorry,
Yeah, this is your first painting?
no, you have to prop up the slide, but
I've propped up the slide. Hold on, huh?
yeah,
You can't see the slides?
you have to minimize the.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to prop up the slides.
Okay, this is the first thing I did. As
Okay.
you can see, it's just filling or marking on the board. And a friend of mine asked why abstraction. So
Okay.
I think making line work and making doodling, I think it's almost like a second.
PK, there's a lot of echo on your side. Is there other devices on? Like, are you on Facebook other than this?
No, nothing at all.
Okay, maybe you're just lagging. Okay, so this is your first piece, and you painted this on this foam work. Is it foam work that you say?
Formwork. So what I do with all this formwork is that they are made of very hard wood, and I have to brush and clean up, get all the sand out of it, and then I coat it with some anti-termite coating before I paint. So and all the wood, I have to treat it, yeah, because this wood are very prone to termites and could be other insects. But I've treated them.
Is this the first time you're painting on wood?
Previously, I had done something, but nothing major really. But I was inspired by a friend, Tonton Ward, who I bought a painting which was on a formwork about 20, I think it was 24 years ago. I was inspired by him basically, and this goes on, and I thought it's a very good base material to do painting because a lot of artists are very frightened, especially me. I get scared if I see a blank canvas. So this wood has already got this good background base, and it's quite easy for you to, how do you call it, to add things to it and make it looks all right. And this goes on. I started off with this. I put some color on the background, and I have very limited choices of color because of the whatever I have left. And you have to remember all the shops were closed, were shut. I have to make do with what I have. So
When you go, hi Hafiz, and then you painted on this piece of, this is your first piece, and
Yes,
how
and
much of paint did you have at that point of time?
how much paint do I have?
Yeah. How much paint did you have?
I was lucky. I have thought up some limited choices of color for acrylic and some basic oil color and some charcoal. So,
So this piece is what? Acrylic? Charcoal?
acrylic, yeah, it's a fast drying paint,
Mm-hmm.
non-toxic, non-smelly, fast. It's water based.
And then we go on. Sorry, technically we're not that savvy, so I'm not sure how to do this. But so this piece. How did you go on to the next piece? Like every day you painted a piece, but how were your thoughts like when you go on with this note of yours?
See, the thing with this abstraction is that you don't really plan ahead of time what you're going to do. To an extent, you can. Maybe I have decided to start with a red. Maybe that will keep me going, and let's see where this one leads to. And then
Is the red a choice because you had only red paint, or was it because
I can't remember why prompted I painted red. I have other colors, but maybe something flashes in my mind the day before. I can't remember, and the red color somehow is just an idea to begin with, but the end product maybe what this you see now, but what I have it may not be. There's no such end product, so you just let it go, and whatever you feel that you want to start with, and then hence you get this. And then you can see
Can I ask a question at this point of time? If I were to paint real life, or I were to paint an object, and I know where it ends when
exactly.
so how do you know where your abstract art ends?
It's a good question because I think you asked me before that why do you choose abstraction? So, but I find it very challenging because this is like a second nature to us. We do a lot of drawing on a daily basis. We sketch out plans, and so these are line drawings. No stranger to us, basically. But what you make out of it at the end of the day, what the line wants to be, it will surprise you because, as you can see, why some of these lines, the way I draw, where it is, where it falls. I think when you're drawing, there's a bit of a consciousness going on, but you don't know the end product. But the line, you have to be very conscious of the quality of the line, how many lines are you going to do, and where you're going to fall. So the consciousness is always there, and hence, but you don't know what the end product is going to be. So that's why I like this abstraction a lot more. But the lines implicated in this drawing that I draw has some kind of a sculptural quality. To me, I always think of making it a sculpture. So if you can see this bunch of line, and you can think for yourself, like, could it be a bunch of a line that you squeezed up and made out of metal and become a sculpture? So that's exactly what I have in mind. And because of it being metal pieces that you squeeze up and make a bunch of it and want it to become a sculpture, it will, hence you get this kind of abstract-looking images on the painting.
Is
And
that what you call on your collection notes? Note. Is it a note to yourself that this is just a note for the future products that you're going to produce?
yes, it's an ongoing conversation between the painting and myself. Uh, and this is a note, a short note. It's not a long, and not a extended long story. So this is a constant exploration that I think it will materialize as a sculpture in the future. We'll see where it goes. And I keep this like I don't have any other sketch. Whatever I paint, that will be it. Throughout the whole exploration, there's no sketches done. And
And
this
again,
is the same.
how do you know you have ended? That's my question. How do you know your picture have ended?
Well, this funny thing that people always say, it's finished when the artist said it's finished.
Yes, exactly. So is it because the day has gone by and you just wanted to paint one painting a day, or it's just okay, I'm done?
I find it interesting that if you reward yourself, if you paint one painting a day, and if it is a beautiful one, and you just stop it there. Although you could continue, but I choose to stop it there, and let's see what tomorrow leads to. So this one is a reward for myself for the day, and it could finish in half an hour. It could finish in 2 hours. On some of them could finish in quite many hours. Like for instance, this one, you can't really spend too much time on this. So I had a conversation with Jai, my friend, the artist, and he was telling me a term for this kind of artwork called psychic automatism. And it's interesting. You put these two words together, psychic and automatism. So it's psychic. It's like I wouldn't say
Can you hear? Can you? We lost you there. PK? PK? Sorry, we lost PK there. Anyway, PK has actually painted for a very long time, and I bought a painting from him from when it was displayed in Singapore. His brother used to own a gallery, and the gallery also had furnitures that were like either designer furnitures, minimalist. PK is gone, so I'm not sure how to explain his art at all. PK? Okay, we lost PK. Now this is the first time I have lost my guest, probably due to technical problems on his side. We have had so much problems with this because PK had a computer that's 9 years old and it couldn't support StreamYard, and then he had to borrow his wife's Mac, and he didn't know how to use Mac. So we spent the whole afternoon trying to work out this chat, and on top of that, he didn't know how to upload these pictures into Keynote or slides. So we were working the whole afternoon, and now we have lost PK. So I'm not sure what to do actually. We wait for a while before PK comes back. And in meantime, let me just message him on WhatsApp. Okay, he's back.
I don't know
What happened to you?
uh, happened here. I don't know why the Wi-Fi got cut off, and
Oh,
my wife was sleeping. It happened before. Anyway, so let's get back to this one. So about this work, so you
okay.
are kind of conscious about the line where you're going to put it. At the same time, you don't want it to be too because you don't know the end result. And just now you asked me, how do I know when to stop? Interesting, because this is you have to have gone through quite a lot of experience, and you just have to know when to stop. Really, you can't continue painting, and you
Okay,
just spoil.
another question. Chop, chop. So now you don't know, you can't really explain when to stop. So the next question is, before you started painting, do you have a vision of what is going to turn out? And
Well, that's a good thing starting with all this form work where the texture and all that are kind of inviting. So you don't really sort of like cut short your uh, whatever you're trying to struggle to do, and the colors and the line just add to it. So what do I have? Do I have preconceived idea what I'm going to do? Not really. Not for this
not really.
work, no. Oh, but I know what I'm doing. I know it's going to
Oh
be
yes, yes, of
painting.
course. What you know what you're doing, but
Yeah,
so one, you do not have preconceived vision of what you're going to do, but you do have a
yes.
preconceived vision of a sculpture based on your art.
Like for example, this one line works
Mm-hmm.
again could very well turn into a sculpture, but I don't want it to be too clear of what I want to achieve, even in a sculpture form. But this is
I
good
see.
for the time. And to me, this is like a sketch and also a painting. So these are like my note in a way.
So every day you do a painting as a note, and you never extend one painting to 2 days. Have
Uh,
you?
yes, throughout the whole period, I think there were a more difficult, larger piece later on where I have done beyond a week trying to
I
resolve all these abstraction, the one on the board, they are pretty quick and I go through it like almost within a day. They are painting where there are times, at least 3 times throughout the entire EMCO, that I could not get the painting out. It was successful.
You're so
And
laggy. I think you should upgrade your Wi-Fi.
really,
I can't hear you at all.
it's breaking all the time.
Yeah, quite a lot. Okay, I'm going to just make a slideshow and you explain the art to us before you break up again. So this is one of your earlier pieces, right? After the rape pieces.
Yeah,
Okay.
these are
Uh,
a group of painting with lines, yes.
and then this is part, close up of just now the same piece.
Yes.
I can see the I can actually see like the wood behind it and the nail. Can I? Is it a nail there?
Yeah, these are natural texture of the wood, and it's already got this patina made by concrete and
Oh, I
uh,
see.
concrete and some foam oil. But then, as you can see, some of the plywood has already peeled off, and remnants of the concrete stuck on it, and the black mark oil was been put on. This marking has to be quite quick and has to be spontaneous. You know? At the same time, you kind of plan. You know where the line is going to fall. At the same time, you don't exactly know how it's going to turn out. So this is, but as you can see, this is a bit of quite of a like a Zen kind of painting. It's a minimalist Zen because it's to deal with the space and to deal with how everything else within it. This is
Is it still acrylic?
this is still acrylic at this time. The black color is still
How
acrylic.
different is acrylic from oil?
How different? Oil you have to solve it with using thinner turpentine, but I think this is a water based. Oil you have to use other things, linseed oil, to dissolve to make it more, a bit more fluid, and the thing tend to smell a lot more oil, and acrylic has no smell at all, so it's quite easy to work on. It's a bit like
So-
poster color, really.
I go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is again lines, but
Yeah,
more
same.
sophisticated.
I found the wood, the shape, the way it is, and I tried to figure out what to do with it. And
Oh yes, I see a wood frame up there.
yeah, this is the same thing, formwork, but the shape turned out the way it is. I didn't do any alteration, and
I
hence
see.
we did the T-shape kind of artwork.
And you treated again all of it with the anti-termite?
Yeah, I did. And the line work is the same thing. I had this in mind, like a bunch of steel structure. I wanted to make a big sculpture out of it. But this is just a sketch for it, which I think in future I will come to a sculpture.
Thank you. Okay, the next one. Oh, this is very complex compared to just now the lines.
Yeah, I sort of get away with certain thing and trying to go through different, trying to dissolve the line so that trying to make the lines match into colors. I had a bit of color to become a more painterly like. So you can call it, this is more of a painting than the other one before. Sort of. I like.
And this,
I am.
this is in sequence, right? Like you started this, and then this is later on.
What sequence?
No, the lines are all in sequence, right? As in, these are later work, right?
Yeah.
So the this is what, after 2 weeks?
Thereabout, yes, less than 2 weeks actually, because if you look at it, I think since the second day, every day I think this started almost like the 7th or the 8th day of the MCO.
And
Yeah.
oh, so you have progressed and evolved. I mean, your painting has progressed and evolved from the first day till maybe the 9 to 10 days in itself.
And it keep on changing, but it's still within the same kind of gesture. Maybe I was very happy with this piece. It's very unique. I thought this is one of the best that I've done during this time, and I was very happy with this. And then I just have to move on from here. I don't want to be bogged down by this piece. So
You say you're very happy with this piece compared to the rest, or just
the earlier one we have done. You see, I just
Sorry?
moved.
You just moved. But
I'm
you're
happy
very
with it.
happy with this piece because
I just move on, and this is to review back what I've done. I'm quite happy with this one, and I'm quite happy with how this turned out. It's such a beautiful piece.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's not referring to any object or any building or anything. It's kind of semi-abstract. I don't know what it's referring to. It's hand gesture.
Oh, it looks like some Chinese character over the right hand side.
You could interpret it any.
But you don't know Chinese,
anything.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
And then suddenly this appears.
Yeah. So I was looking at some images of maybe some tribal images of some weaving of some tribal cloth. So I thought some of the images and the abstractions comes in mind, and I thought maybe I give it an interpretation of from me, and using this formwork again, this plywood actually.
Okay, so now
the-
you're still using the same material, same plywood, same
Yes.
acrylic, just different colors, different stroke, different techniques.
Yeah, but you can see on the right hand corner there's some torn part of the wood, which I think added to
Oh
the.
yes, yes.
These are some of the surprises marked on this plywood, on this found wood. I think it adds to it, it make it richer somehow. And then my work, my paintbrush just adds to it. So I think everything falls into place quite nicely in this one. It's a tiny little piece. It's like 8 inches by 1 feet.
And how many pieces of this wood did you get from my house?
Well, for this one that I paint this series, I got about 6, 4. I think it was 5 pieces. 5 pieces.
But we have seen so many pieces now, and we didn't show all the whole collection.
Oh no, yeah.
So you did not only paint on the wood for the first few weeks?
Mainly on the wood because I don't have any other material. I don't have a luxury of canvas until much later.
Okay,
Like
this
maybe
is
a
what
month.
you're talking about, right? At the side there was some tear in the wood.
Yeah, it's from the same piece, and you can see the texture of the wood itself is quite rich. And what I'm doing is just adding to it, and it become quite interesting. I thought, and I don't plan for this. But I don't
Oh,
plan. I'm gonna
the
do
more I
it.
see, there are some places that are not painted. It's just wood, right?
Yeah,
There are
this
some
one is,
places. Okay. Now this is another piece. This is not a close-up of the previous piece, right? Hello?
Yeah, this one I painted over. This wood remove was sometimes painted over, and this brown color totally painted over. And I started this marking, heavy brush marking. Mm.
And is it because you're running out of paint that it looks like
You're right, actually. The yellow paint, I ran out of that yellow paint. I would have continued, but the one that I did just now, that yellow base, I ran out of it. So I couldn't go back and do this. At that point of time, I don't have anymore. So I have to go with whatever I have.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess right then. And this is nice. This is very nice. This is still the same wood frame.
Same. It's just a lot of brush marking rather than line now, as you can see.
Okay.
A bit more painterly like rather than drawings. And this is an interesting experiment, I thought.
Did you splash the black paint or did you paint on it?
There's some control of it, not entirely splash, but there's some control of spilling some paint over it and then tilt it to get the drip down a bit.
Oh yes, because I see the dripping.
Yeah.
So the dripping is because you tilted it.
Yes, I have to tilt it and until it looks kind of correct, until it looks kind of right. It's a kind of composition, really. So that's an interesting thing about abstraction. You don't plan for it, and whatever it turns out where the paint stopped to drip, and that become a composition.
I'm surprised that I noticed that you probably splashed some paint on it. Oh, this is very nice. This is very different. And how did you come to this technique then?
This one was just about a month and a half, or was it 2 months after the MCO? So I had the luxury of buying canvas and get my.
Oh, this is when the MCO opened to RMCO?
EMCO, extended.
Yes.
Control movement. So this one I get a chance. I can go to a hardware shop, bought some sand, bought some glue, and I was experimenting with this rough of it. I trying to get the texture from the wood, which was very rough, and I built it up on the canvas because I had this fear of starting a fresh white canvas. That kind of threw me off a bit. So with sandwich and rough canvas.
So you mean seeing a white canvas can actually cause some anxiety in a painter or an artist?
And so
Sorry, you're really lagging. Let me just
Yeah.
check.
what did you say just now, Betty?
No, I'm asking you. Seeing a white empty canvas can be
Yes.
very intimidating.
Intimidating it is to some
Scary?
other artists. Yes.
Oh,
You don't plan what you want to do, and for me especially, I don't really plan ahead. Maybe some artists do have, they do sketch and they implement the sketch on the canvas and then draw. In my case, so very little planning ahead of time what I'm going to do. Like for instance, this piece you can see pretty much painting of a shadow. So what I do was when I was doing the sand test on the canvas, so I put the canvas on the floor and the sun fell, cast a shadow of the plant around my house on the canvas. Then it prompted me, and I thought this is interesting. I'm gonna see if I can capture and paint with the shadow of this thing that casts on the canvas, and this is what it looks like.
oh, very
And
interesting. So you actually
yeah,
put a piece of canvas and wait for the sun of a certain time to cast a shadow, and you paint from inspired by the shadow, not
shadow.
necessarily facing from the shadow, right?
No, so this is not really a total abstraction. So this is a bit of a coincidence where I put the canvas on the ground and the shadow fall nicely on the canvas, and I picked it up and I thought this is a good piece. But the second piece, which I don't show it here, which is I try to do the same shadow but different side of the plant, but it didn't cast quite well, so I have to wait almost a week apart from the first shadow it was casted on the thing, and hence the shadow overlap. You can see that painting is like the I almost painted the shadow twice to overlap on each other, so you get this overlapping of shadow, which turned out a bit different from this, which is also quite nice. But because the weather here, the shadows are very murky sometimes. To get a crispy, clear shadow, you have to wait sometimes. You really have to wait for it. And the morning, and for my house and the corner of the house, I have to wait towards the end of the day, almost like 5 o'clock, 4:30 to 5 o'clock to get a shadow. And this goes on for almost a week to get it right. So that's why the other painting takes me a long time.
You said that you went to get some sand from the hardware shop.
Yes, I did.
What did you use with the sand?
Actually, sand from your house.
Okay, again, my house. So I'm really going to charge you for every piece that you sell.
Yeah, there was some sand from your house, and I actually bought some from the hardware shop. But before that, I tried on marble dust, where because I went to a marble factory and I thought I could get the dust from their marble cutting, but unfortunately they wash all the dust into a small pond, and I don't want to go into the pond to dig out all the marble dust. So because with the marble dust, if I can mix it with glue, it will stick nicely on the canvas and it will give me some kind of a lump. And well, since I can't get that, I get a few pieces of marble and I pound it to get the dust out. And it was a hard work. That's before the sand come in picture. But I couldn't do that anymore. It's just too much of a hard work. And using sand is a bit easier. But if I can get more marble dust, I could.
This piece has sand on it.
It's all coated with sand, and it's very rough.
I see.
So it gives a good picture, so not so intimidating like a smooth canvas.
When you put sand after that, you painted after you painted or before you painted?
Before,
Oh,
but
I see.
you know, I do that not knowing what sort of images is going to go on top. It would have ended up abstract. So until this thing,
The
a
shadow.
shadow on top of it is kind of semi-abstract. I thought beautifully done on the canvas. That I thought the shadow did a beautiful job. So I
Was it
don't want. Yeah.
the shadow on purpose? Was it intentional, or it's just that you by chance put this piece of
Oh, by
canvas?
chance, I was doing the sand on the floor.
Oh, you were
And
doing the sand on the floor, and then the sun cast a shadow onto your eye.
canvas, yeah, on the light
Okay.
cast a shadow on the canvas, which I thought was very interesting, and hence you get this piece.
Oh, very interesting. We go to the next one. And
Yeah,
this was the abstract.
yeah. This is another journey that I take, trying to do. So when the shop opened, I get hold of this oil stick, which I've been wanting to draw on oil stick for quite some time. Oil stick is like about 6 inches and maybe an inch and a half diameter that you can. It's oil, but it has got this very interesting texture. You rub it against this rough wood, and the wood will sort of eats up all this oil color, and it's just. I thought this exercise is just very sensuous. You know, you just rub and
The
oil.
character of the broken wood is quite interesting, yeah?
Yeah. So what this subject matter kind of surprises me, and like I said again, no plan. I was doing this black stroke, and I thought this would be very well like a U-turn of a road. So I thought
Oh, yes, it is. It is like a U-turn of a road.
first piece I thought, so I want to continue this series. Very mundane subject of a junction, a U-turn, cul-de-sac, a highway junction. So I thought, let's see where this one goes. And this is the first piece. And
Okay.
the next one, this is a highway junction going to Penang, and then I call it going to Bidor because every time I go up to Penang, and just before that there was a left turn into exit to Bidor, where you can have very nice duck noodle, and it's a good pit stop.
Oh, yes, yes, the duck noodle, punchun.
I think so. It's Punchun. So I got this
Biscuit I love too.
yeah,
Yes.
very vague idea of this highway that do the left. So technically called this one Bidor.
Oh, you're making me hungry, very hungry. Okay.
Yeah.
So from here, you still went back to the wood frame, but you
Yes.
changed it to broader lines. Now you are envisioning roads and highways,
Yeah.
and you're using oil.
Because of the character of a road or a highway. So, and this oil sticks goes along with the image that I want to do. So I do this, but at the same time, the impression, or rather the imagination of a sculpture is always there. This would very well turn out to be a sculpture. You never know.
Is there a wordings there?
Yeah, the wording at the bottom left, it says to Bidor, and then the
Oh,
one on the right going up Penang.
I see. I can't read it at all.
It's a scribble. It's a scribble.
And your name is not there?
My signature
Yeah.
somewhere.
Somewhere there. Okay, this is part of this
Series,
same
yes,
series, the same flow of thoughts, right?
yes. This one I call it to Bandar Putri. It's the same major highway that I go to Bandar Putri to get my material sometimes. And this is not about food, it's more getting my construction material. So this is where I go. And it's not literally like that, but this is what it's a bit extracted version of what I have in mind. Again, this could very well turn into a sculpture. And the black from the oil is got this sculptural quality to it. And I think it's amazing. I just have to stick with black for the time being. Yeah.
And so, in other words, when you look at this, you're trying to you're doing a note of a 2D painting, and eventually, hopefully, will become a 3D sculpture, right?
Yeah, it could be. There's always a potential, and this is a bit like a sketch rather than a sketch of something. It's a short
And when
note.
you think of the sculpture, what kind of material are you looking at?
This could very well be in steel or maybe wood, more likely in steel.
Wood from my house again.
No, steel plate, I think.
And then this looks like domes.
Yeah, I was doing that highway. There was 2 pieces of diptych. That very large piece for me is big, 1 meter by 1 meter together. So the series of highway that do this U-turn, and you put the 2 together, it makes like arches. So from that, when I was doing that, I took a short break and I was going back to do on form work. So I was doing a series of these arches, which I think quite fascinating to me. And I was trying to recall these images of an ancient building, mythical building that wasn't built. I call it it's called the Tower of Babel. It was in the Bible as well. And this building was never built, and it's got this series of repetitive arches stacks up, and it's just endless, and it's never finished, and it's never built anyway. So I thought this is interesting because the arches, if you can see in this one, if you take it as an arches, the black color is like receding. That means you are going into it.
Oh, you're going into somewhere, and the door is like an arch.
And this I've done quite a few of this series. It's fascinating, I think, and somehow again these are like sketches, and it's got quite a lot of sculptural quality to it. And this hum or lump arches could, well, if you call it arches, if you call it like lumps, and it could turn into a sculpture. It's got this body mass that built up these black arches, So it depends on how you perceive this.
You didn't put sand for this, right?
No, it's just pure oil stick.
And the part that are not painted black, are they painted at all?
Not at all. These are like the
So this is just part of that wood.
No, it's just part of the wood. And the white color sort of popped up. It's quite nice. A big contrast.
Yeah.
It's a contrast between the black. Therefore, you look at the white color bit, it's like popped up, and it forms the arches. And I make it very irregular because,
And the fact that it's wood, it gives a certain character to the pieces, the black that you paint. There's some that they're thicker than others. That are
you're conscious of your movement of your hand. You're conscious. I'm conscious of dividing the arches. At the same time, I don't want it to be too rigid and too well planned that the arches has to be same size, same divided, same size. So it has to appear part spontaneous,
okay.
At the same time, you want the outcome to be finished in this. Of course, I know I want it to be 8 arches. So, and yet I don't want it to be divided equally. Well, you get a bit of a pleasure doing a bit more asymmetrical.
Yes, something that I cannot understand until I see your artwork. Yeah. And then this is part of the 8 arches, or this is different? This is different, right? Because they are further apart.
No, this is part of it. I just couldn't take
that's part of it. Okay.
No. you can see the site. So the photo itself is part of the whole painting, and it gives a lot of character to it. You can take the entire piece as a sculpture.
And the fact that it came from my home, my house, does it mean it belongs to me?
I think you own some percentage of it, Betty.
This is another piece. All my the wood that came from my house. This is very nice.
This was just a piece of plywood, and there's no more framework of it, and I tore it all out. And as you can see, the strange thing is when you stack it up 3 layer like that, and if you take just first layer of the 3 columns, and it could read very much like a column rather than arches. So I have done the last piece after this to interpret this as a column rather than arches. So my next venture, my next stop will be a sculpture.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. You take the tree and you paint the first tree and you painted this.
And it become like a column actually. Rather
This is
than
so, right? Is this so?
This one is sold. Both are sold. Most of the artists are sold.
Yeah. How much are your art pieces going for?
It's very affordable, but I think this was sold at about 1,002 or something ringgit. This is a small piece. And the
And
one
they can
nine,
follow you on Instagram, right? They can message you on Instagram, right? All your pieces are up there.
yes, all my pieces are up. Not all, but I put them up. Yes, I did.
And your Instagram is called what? Po Iket? Is it Po Iket?
Phuket.
Yeah. Po Kiet E.
Yes.
Oh, Po Kiet E, yes. Okay, Po Kiet E. And then, is that the last piece that we have?
For this slideshow, I think so. Yes. This is the last one. But
This is the last one we have, right? So, and then, are you continuing now painting?
solo show. The solo show will be on for about a month. So I'm taking a short break, but I'll come back on and do some more artwork. Definitely. I've been doing artwork every time when I have a bit of free time. I'll, take the chance to do more
So
painting.
this is from this note that this collection, you have for the first time had your own solo exhibition.
Yes, it's my first solo show. I never planned this show, but if you were to tell me that I'm going to have a solo show in 3 months from beginning, I would have freaked out.
More stressed. So the MCO did you well.
I suppose so, but that's why I call the show Note. It's just conversation between me and my artwork. And it goes on, it will go on. Whether I'm going to have some more show, we'll see. I plan to have some group of friends as we invited me to do group show with them.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I hope your artwork sells. And I hope they sell before you die. Because
Okay.
you know how artists are, right? You have to die before the artwork becomes very expensive.
Well, not every artist.
Yes. And I hope that you get to continue to work on my house soon.
Yeah.
And then maybe display your artwork in my house as a gallery.
Fantastic. Looking forward, Betty. Looking forward.
Yeah. I'm just have to sort out a bit of my life and my own problems before we start work again. But we will.
It's going to be a
Thank you
beautiful
for joining us. I can't believe that an hour has passed, and I hope that you will continue to paint. And thank you for coming on. I thank Mr. Yim, Nicole, and Hafiz for saying hi to us. And we will sign off now. Bye.
Bye, Betty.
Thank you.
Thank you.